Sup everyone, Metroid Prime Fan 18 here again, and here with another rant. And instead of ranting on what I originally said I was going to be doing, which I will eventually do, but this was literally this was a spur of the moment that happened on me right when I pressed the record button here. This rant is going to be on today's state of music. Now, if you know me well enough, you know I'm a huge music guy. I mean, anything from basically the 60s through the 90s, and some of today's bands I do like. Now, I'm pretty sure everyone knows this one particular band who's out nowadays, who can't sing, can't play their instruments. They have four of the people in the band who aren't even noticed because every fangirl pays attention to these three guys. I don't even need to say their name. You know who they are. You know, I'm not one to usually compare things. Like, you know, if I'm gonna review like a sequel to a game or movie, I never compare it to the prequel unless it's absolutely necessary. So I don't really compare things. But whether I'm comparing or not, the majority of today's music is just crap. Plain and simple. It's just terrible. I mean, this band, I'm going to go ahead and say it, it's the Jonas Brothers. I mean, they're like late teens, early 20s, whatever. You know, they're giving some people the impression that, oh, they're way too young, they can't play music. Oh, I don't care if they were old enough, they still can't play. Well, that may be true, but, or the second part of that at least, but there are bands who have even younger members than they do, and they were fantastic. One of the examples is Silverchair. Silverchair was a grunge band that came out back in, I believe, 92. One of their best known songs is a song called Tomorrow. I'm pretty sure a lot of people have heard that song. At the time that song was released, the lead singer Daniel Johns was only 15 years old. And no one thought he was that young because he sounded so professional. At 15, he sounded that good. And there's another band who came out last year, which is around the same time Jonas Brothers did, called Black Tide. Their members are, I think the youngest one's like 18. I think they're all 18 except for their singer who's like 20. And hell, I mean, they actually know how to play their instruments. Silverchair did too. They can sing and they can play instruments. I mean, when I listen to the stuff that a lot of today's bands play, it's just so generic, so uninspired, so forgettable, so boring. But again, there are some bands like some melodic death metal bands, like who is the triad here? At the Gates, who came out back in '95. Dark Tranquillity, I don't know when they came out, and then In Flames, I don't know when they came out. Those are all Swedish bands. Of course, At the Gates was mid-90s, so I guess they can't really fit into the category of now. But, I mean, the other two, I mean, and really In Flames is getting this sudden huge influx of new listeners because they had one of their songs, Take This Life in Guitar Hero 3, and a lot of people went crazy over it. And there was even a commercial for one of their newest album, I think it was back early this year. You know, there's some examples, and there are some bands today that are good. Like, let me see if I can name. Black Tide is a good band. They are awesome. Coheed and Cambria, they're an amazing band, I think. Here's what I like about Coheed and Cambria. For one, they are a good genre. They're progressive. They say they're progressive rock, and the lead singer Claudio Sanchez is. You can tell that one of his biggest influences is Slash because his guitar playing, I mean, the way he plays it. It's at some points it sounds incredibly, just almost exactly like Slash. And oh god, what else? Some other bands, and there are some bands that people say they consider emo or they cut themselves. And, you know, I don't pay attention to that kind of. I don't automatically get steered away from a band just because of some rumored imagery they exude. Okay, I mean, like My Chemical Romance, for example. I personally like them. I mean, I'm not a huge fan, but I do like a lot of their stuff. I mean, you know, and you know, some people are just so shallow-minded. They say, oh, just because this band looks so emo, they wear eyeliner, fingernail polish, blah blah blah, whatever. They don't even listen to the music at first. I mean, I knew someone like that, and when I actually made him listen to one of their songs, he changed his mind on it immediately. Well, I'm like, there you go. Perfect example of someone who just pays attention to what the band looks like instead of listening to them. Another example, 30 Seconds to Mars. Jared Leto, who is actually originally an actor from what I just heard, or saw really, he's an amazing vocalist, I think. And again, people get steered away from that band just because they look emo. And, you know, imagery shouldn't matter. And I'm not really going to go into a rant about rap here because I'm pretty sure we all basically share the same opinion about today's rap. Old school rap was good. I mean, you know, 80s, 90s stuff, or early 90s stuff before it started to, you know, get like it is now. But this is mainly about the so-called rock bands nowadays. I mean, some of these bands are just so uninspired. It's amazing how they even get published. And just bands that really just are clearly inspired by the bands of old, like 80s style. Again, Black Tide. All their members are in their late teens or early 20s, or right at 20. And they can already play instruments like pros. I mean, they have a lot of very quick riffs in their song Shockwave. And when I first listened to that, I was like, okay, this sounds pretty cool. Is this like a 90s band? And then I learned they haven't been around that long, at least I don't think. And that song was only released last year when all this teeny bopper stuff started to make its surface. You know, it started surfacing. And I was just like, why don't bands like this get signed? Why don't they get the recognition they deserve? Instead of all the... Unfortunately, the turn music is taking today. People nowadays... Well, Hollywood. They don't care about what music sounds like. They just care about how pretty members of a band look. I mean... Same with American Idol. I mean, I used to watch that, now I just can't. Because so many people who make it through, Sanjay Malakar. Remember him, anyone? The pretty guy, the pony hawk, couldn't sing for shit, and he stayed on way too long. I will admit he did sound pretty good in his audition, but that was it. That was the only time I thought he sounded good. But, I mean, you know, everyone has their own opinions about music and everything, but it's just becoming more increasingly obvious that the only kinds of bands who get signed nowadays they're just judged on how so-called attractive they are. I mean, I guarantee you over half the Jonas Brothers or Hannah Montana audience isn't drawn to the music. They're just drawn to how pretty the Jonas Brothers or how glamorous and glittery Hannah Montana is, and how, you know, how jumpy she's on stage. You know, no matter how much she lip syncs, people just keep coming and coming and coming back. You know, I can't. It's like this how it's going. It's like rap is dying down after too many years, and now teeny bop shit is emerging. They had what was her name? Ashley Tisdale. She did that horrible remake of "Never Gonna Give You Up" by Rick Astley. They completely turned it into synthesized pop. They redid the lyrics, and it just sounds terrible. I can't. I just can't. I can't stand it. I just can't. Ugh. I mean, so much of these untalented, and it's not just bands, it's like single members like Jessica Simpson, Ashley Simpson, Britney Spears. Now, here's what I think about Britney Spears. I'm glad she's finally getting her brain back in the right place. I do still kind of like Britney Spears. I mean, if you can go from being that low to coming back, I don't know what that was. If you can go from being that down in the dumps to coming back, and you know, the way you were before all that happened, then that's pretty impressive. But I'm not a huge Britney fan. I do like a couple of her songs. I will say, I mean, she came out back in like late '90s. I mean, she's more talented than some of these, like Jessica Simpson, Ashley Tisdale, Jordan Hewitt, Pruitt, whatever the hell her name is. I don't really care. I've heard a lot of their music and it sounds the same. It's bad, my opinion. But you know, that's just the turn music is making nowadays, and it's pathetic. So there you go. That's my rant about that. And with that, Metroid signing off.